Hey, welcome to the Handmade Daily. I'm Renee, and today I'm going to walk you through the process of creating polymer applique beads. And you'll be able to create an earring just like this. I'm going to walk you through how to make the bead. And then I'm going to walk you through the process of actually putting this exact earring together. I will put in all of the links to the shops that I use. Oh, where do you buy your supplies from? More often than not, I get my supplies from Etsy. For this project, you're going to need polymer clay, head pins, daisy spacers, small spacer bead, bead caps, and a toothpick. Just start conditioning your clay. What you're going to want is a piece of clay about half the size of the bead you're using, and just kind of smush it out into a flat oval piece that you can wrap around the bead. It doesn't even have to go all the way around, just most of the way around. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be close to even. Just smush all the way around, start piecing things together, and then when you get something kind of like this, it doesn't look perfect, just roll it between your palms and it smooths out magically. Look, perfect. Now we can start our applique work. I'm going to start with this dark pink color, and I'm just grabbing a tiny round. It's just going to be the center. Look how small that is. You got to pay attention to how small they are. Big pieces don't work. I'm going to use yellow for my petals. Again, using tiny pieces. I usually roll mine out into these little strips. Makes it easier to get these tiny pieces. I'm just going to put a couple of little dots around the center of my flower, and then the other side, make it even. And then I'm going to take a toothpick. Now, I use a toothpick instead of a needle because, see, when I press in, it gives a more rounded shape. It gives a more rounded petal than a sewing needle does, which a lot of people use. I don't use. I use a toothpick because it makes it easier. Now I'm going to do a second round. I'm going to use this light pink color, and I'm going to start by putting a round in between each of the yellow petals. And I press really lightly just to keep them in place, but don't press too hard because it'll distort the petal, and you want it to be round when you put the toothpick in, and it naturally creates this rounded petal effect with very little effort. Now you can stop in between each petal if you want to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and go back through and put a petal in between each of those also. It's all about personal preference. You can do whatever you want to. I'm just walking you through the process so that you can see how I do it. So I'm going to finish up this flower. I'm going to move on to the next flower. I'm going to start with the light pink and just press it on there lightly. And I'm going to use this, I don't know, it's like a shimmery peachy color. And I'm not going to use a whole flower this time. I'm just going to do 4 petals. It's going to give it this half flower look. And then we're going to put a couple of petals just kind of like they're in the wind. Just one here, one there. It's just wherever you want to put them. Go ahead and go on the other side of this big flower and add another half flower. And switch up the color. I'm going to use this darker rose pink color. You want to use your toothpick at an angle, putting the pressure towards the center of the flower. And we've got this so far. It's really come together. I think it looks good. I'm going to go ahead and finish up the space that's left. I'm going to add this yellow flower because I feel like it. Just going to add a few more petals and kind of out in the wind. It takes a little time, but eventually everything comes together nicely. You got this awesome applique bead, just baked to the specifications on the back of the package of whatever clay you're using. And we're ready to go ahead and start building our earring. So you see this white that's in the middle of my bead? That's actually cold porcelain. It's a little trick I use to keep my bead in place on the pin. So we're going to start with the pin and add a daisy spacer. And we're going to slip our bead on. It'll go right through the cold porcelain. I'm going to add an upside down bead cap just to make it funky. Then I'm going to slip my Swarovski pearl on and add another daisy spacer on top of that to kind of finish it off. Slip that bad boy on there. Then I'm going to top that off with a spacer bead before snipping the excess off of this pin and creating a loop at the top. I have an 8.5mm brass bezel setting that I filled with pink clay and baked all as one piece when I baked my bead. Just link the two and close the loop and you're done. I mounted a surgical steel post to the back of my bezel with E6000 and let it set overnight. And I'm done with my earring. Use crystals instead of pearls, silver instead of brass. Change up the colors, make it your own. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and make sure and subscribe to the Handmade Daily channel for more tips, tricks, and how-tos.